Hello everyone, and welcome to the first official episode of 7 Studio Avenue. I am your host, Jeff. You may remember me from last week. Although this week, there are other people. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Joey, Pokemon Trainer Joey. I'm here for the Pokemon news, video game news. I'm also a casual Star Wars and Marvel fan.
And I'm Sam. You'll find me discussing Star Wars, sometimes video games. I'm a casual Marvel and DC fan.
I'm Jalen. You can follow me on Instagram at JalenWLee. I am a DC fan, a Marvel fan, as well as Star Wars, some anime, and other miscellaneous things such as Game of Thrones.
That's great. I think I speak for everyone. I say it's very exciting to be here.
Yeah,
It's something we've wanted
Super
to do for a
excited
while.
to talk to you guys.
Mm-hmm. And of course, shout out to our producer Austin, who's organized this whole thing.
Go Austin.
So, let's jump straight into the news. Over these past couple of weeks, we've been getting photos from the set of Shazam, which is set to release sometime 2019. The biggest thing to come out of them is Zachary Levi in his Shazam costume. And what do you guys think?
You know, I really don't know how I feel about the costume. It's kind of got that CW superhero feel to it, you know, like the Flash.
Some people have pointed out that it looks very similar to the 90s Flash costume.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
But I think it would look better in the movie.
Yeah,
Also,
because-
I like how it has that typical DCEU textured suit.
Yeah.
It's really nice to
That's
see
one of
that
the things
detail.
I was worried about, that it'd just be like a plain cloth, but it's got some texturization.
Yeah, it does.
And with the effects going on in the movie, we probably won't notice the costume
Yeah.
as much as we do on the set.
If you've ever seen any of the Marvel behind-the-scenes stuff, it looks ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
you just got people running around in pajamas,
Yeah.
especially for Justice League. Cyborg,
Oh my god.
he's just a ridiculous man in a pajama suit with a flashlight on his face.
It's
So,
ridiculous.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess it'll definitely look better in the film, but right now I'm not too sold on it.
I was
Yeah.
happy to see that it's not your typical glossy outfit that a superhero might have. It's got a nice
Right.
matte tone.
Is Zachary Levi wearing a muscle suit underneath? Almost certainly.
God.
Bearing in mind that almost everyone is. I was watching this
Yeah.
featurette about the Justice League suits, and Henry Cavill's Superman suit has an
Wow.
entire, like, chrome muscle suit underneath. too.
Really?
Henry Cavill's a pretty ripped guy. I'm surprised
Yeah.
that he actually has a muscle suit under that.
Yeah.
Like, even Captain America suits sometimes have that extra padding to appear
Interesting.
larger than life, because
I
I
mean,
don't
they
know
are
if any of you-
superheroes after all,
yeah,
so.
I don't know if any of you have ever noticed, but superheroes are drawn ridiculously unlifelike.
Yeah.
Like, that sort of
Yeah.
physique is nearly
For
impossible.
both male
Yeah.
and female
Right.
superheroes, their physique is just
Right.
doesn't exist.
They wouldn't have time to fight crime because they'd be too busy in the gym constantly.
That's true.
That's yeah. So I'm sure the costume will look better with a bit of CGI enhancement, and just imagine it covered in lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd look great.
We also see a shot of him swinging about with Mark Strong's Dr. Savannah, who looks quite good with his scarred eye.
Yep, good
You know,
detail there.
I don't really know a lot about DC like villains, so I don't know who this
Well,
character
I'm glad
is.
you asked. The costume for Shazam is based heavily on the New 52 run, so if they go in that direction, then Dr. Savannah's backstory in that is that his family is sick and science has failed him, so he searches ancient tombs for magic, and he gets struck by magic lightning in the eye, and he can see magic. And then he finds Black Adam, and it's this whole thing. Whether or not Dwayne The Rock Johnson's Black Adam will appear in this film, I'm not sure if we have any confirmation on that.
I heard something about his character of Black Adam appearing in the next Suicide Squad movie.
That'd be really interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
The weird thing is, though, in the new Shazam comic, Black Adam's sort of a one-off villain, which is weird. At the end, he tricks Black Adam into saying Shazam, which transforms him back into a mortal man. And Black Adam is a man from ancient Egypt who hasn't changed in hundreds of years, so as soon as he says Shazam and is turned back into a regular man, he ages hundreds of years and turns to dust. But I can't
Wow.
imagine that you get someone with the acting prestige of The Rock and have him just be a one-off villain.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I'm very excited for Shazam.
Also,
So
not to
am I.
mention that Black Adam could become a part of that almost anti-Justice League that we saw a hint of, or the Legion of Doom, We don't really have a name for them yet, but we saw at the end of Justice League in the end
Lex
credits
Luthor
scene.
and Deathstroke.
Exactly.
A League of Our Own.
So Black Adam, I feel like they'd want to put him with that team as well.
That'd be incredible.
So this villain, he doesn't have any like particular superpowers. He's just kind of a guy that got struck by lightning.
Sort of. Magic lightning, though.
Magic lightning.
It's gotta be magic.
That's a DC, yeah.
However, in the comic, he isn't like as strong as Shazam, but from the photo, it looks like the classic catches the hero's fist and then he's got him in a chokehold. Well, not chokehold, but he's just choking him. More DC news. Christian Wiig has been confirmed to be the villain of Wonder Woman 2 as Cheetah.
There was a lot of controversy online, similar to the controversy when Ben Affleck was announced as Batman. Because of the movies they've done in the past, they didn't see the person in that role as an action superhero star or villain star. But I personally have hopes for her. I think she'll do a great job. I think she's a great actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious when this will be set. Will this be set like after Justice League or sometime in between the first Wonder Woman and Batman vs Superman?
I assume they're going to go with a more modern take now that they've done one that took place in World War One.
Right, because at the end of Justice League, it was like Wonder Woman's a hero out in the open and she's inspiring people and all that stuff. So,
you know, with all of the controversy just surrounding the actress of choice, you know, I'm surprised we haven't seen any controversy about the character of Cheetah herself, what they're gonna do with the costume, because that will be
interesting.
She's a very suggestive,
open
character,
scantily clad.
That's
She's essentially a naked person with cheetah skin.
Exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see how they transfer that. Jumping over into a bit of Marvel news, but Fox Marvel.
Yep.
There was a set photo from the set of X-Men Dark Phoenix, which reveals it's a blue screen. We see some people in what I presume are astronaut suits, and we can see Jean Grey, Scott Summers, Quicksilver, someone I can't make out, probably Quicksilver, Beast, Nightcrawler, and is it safe to assume that the lady with the red hair is Mystique?
Probably.
So, but most important, they're in classic X-Men suits.
Yeah.
Yes, it's good. It's nice to see that.
Right. Instead of just black leather jumpsuits. Finally.
I mean,
we say finally, but the reality is that now that Disney has bought the Fox, the Marvel characters that were owned by Fox, this may be the last time we see these actors playing these characters.
True.
But you know, for me, as long as they go out with a bang, I'd say the past few X-Men films, they've been pretty decent.
They've been fun, but they're not.
They were like a little bit over
and you enjoy it.
Days of Future Past was probably
my
the
favorite.
best. That's the
blending of the young and old.
They're a little bit above mediocre.
I really like Nicholas Holt's Beast, James McAvoy's Professor X, and Fassbender as Magneto. I really like that. That's a really solid trio.
Fassbender is a killer Magneto.
He really is. Will he appear in Dark Phoenix? Who knows? Because remember at the end of Apocalypse, he was all like, "Well, goodbye, old friend," to Charles, even though he probably killed hundreds of people during that movie.
Yeah, they never really emphasize the real, except for in Civil War, the aftermath of these huge superhero battles that happen on screen.
Well, I mean, in the X-Men universe, the X-Men are kind of like always hated.
That's true.
So, should be interesting. I believe Simon Kinberg is directing Dark Phoenix. He's produced most of the other X-Men films, but also a ton of other stuff. Will this be good? Who knows? It can't be worse than X-Men The Last Stand.
Please. Oh, God.
Years later, and we're still throwing shade at this movie.
I'm the Juggernaut. I'm not gonna no cursing on this podcast. So you all know what I was. You all know.
All right. Should we move to our next subject?
Next segment. I believe, Joey, you have some Pokemon.
I have some Pokemon news. The new Detective Pikachu amiibo is out. It's blowing up for collectors. Standing at 5 inches tall. Collectors will definitely want this for their collection.
Does he have his hat?
Yes, he does.
Oh.
Yes, he does.
I hate Detective Pikachu's voice. I just want to say that.
Yeah,
Wait,
it's pretty
Detective
bad.
Pikachu has a
Yeah,
voice.
He has a grown man voice.
Yeah.
You are
He
not.
speaks English
He
too.
speaks
It's-
English.
This is
Oh,
unsettling.
it's
There's
I
a
remember-
Japanese version as well. It's so unsettling. Like,
So
I
weird.
hate it.
I remember a while back there was some news that Ryan Reynolds may be cast as Detective Pikachu in a Detective Pikachu
Oh my
movie.
God.
Yeah, that's a
There's-
little bit
I don't think Pikachu should have a voice.
I don't think
He
you
should
should
not.
either.
The only Pikachu
What-
that everyone likes is Ash's Pikachu,
What's-
and it should not be anything else.
What kind of crimes is Detective Pikachu solving? It's just like this cute little electric rat thing solving
Oh, God.
horrific murders.
You should solve the problem of why Pikachu has a grown man's voice. All right.
Yeah.
Marketing.
Any other anime news?
So Dragon Ball Super is coming to an end soon. Next week will probably be the last episode. But this week we have a pretty exciting episode. Jiren and Goku are finally getting to the climax of their fight. It's possibly
After
ending
how
to
many
them
months?
after many months.
So many months.
But this has been the longest arc Dragon Ball Super has had. The Universe Survival arc has been very nice. They've redeemed themselves from their first arcs that included some lackluster animation and even story. I really liked the emphasis on the aspects of martial arts they focused on in the last episode, getting back to the original Dragon Ball versus these huge fights where there's tons of blasts and everyone's teleporting everywhere. Although we all love that about Dragon Ball, it is a martial arts anime, and I appreciate that. And we also got confirmation that in December, although Dragon Ball Super is ending, there will be a new movie in December, and it will discuss the origins of the Saiyans, possibly the origin of Super Saiyan God, as well as discussing Frieza's how he relates to the Saiyans and their backstory. So I thought that was very interesting.
Now, here's my question: is it live action or is it going?
Oh,
to be
no.
Oh, it is not live
Oh,
action.
thank
That
you.
mistake was made once with Dragon Ball Evolution, and that will never
The
happen
problem
again.
Thank
with Dragon Ball live action is one of the most iconic things about Goku is the hair, and you can't necessarily translate
Let
that
me
hair.
stop you right there. There is a problem with any live-action anime movie. There's a live-action Bleach coming out. I don't like it. There was a live-action Death Note, which is a anime that doesn't even have action, and it was still terrible.
You know,
live-action
I
anime
feel like
is
that's-
a terrible idea.
Did
gonna
any
be
of you
another-
see the Attack on Titan live action?
No.
Oh my god.
I believe
No.
the other day I saw on my Netflix queue there was a Full Metal Alchemist live action.
Yeah, I think I saw that too. That's.
I feel like
Yeah.
live action anime is going to be one of the downfalls of Ready Player One.
It's called
Yeah.
anime for a reason. Animated. It should be animated, not live action.
I mean,
Yeah.
but for someone who hasn't really seen the animes,
Neither
watching the
have I.
live action movies, they might seem, I guess, competent enough to be their own movies. Like for me, I didn't watch. I watched the Death Note movie before I actually saw the anime, and I thought, well, this was not terrible.
I
thought
was
this
excited to hear
pretty
that
decent, but
William Dafoe seemed pretty good as what's his name, Ryuk,
yeah, I think he
the demon guy.
yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
That was
He played. I think he played Ryuk really well. But then, after watching the movie, I watched the entire anime, and I realized it's
how
it's
bad
just-
it was.
it's
Some-
nothing like the anime.
Some
Yeah.
adaptations are better than others.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
All right. I have one more Pokemon news for you guys. For those of you who actually still play Pokemon Go, I'm sorry. Lugia,
Shout out
Lugia.
to my cousin Joey and Lydia.
Yeah.
You guys are cool.
Yeah. Lugia is back. This is a psychic flying type. He'll be available as a raid boss, and he'll only be available for a limited time. So if you actually still play Pokemon Go,
Get
pick him up.
walking.
Yeah, get walking or driving if you cheat.
A little bit more comic book Marvel news. Black Panther has crossed the 1 billion mark.
That's
Very
pretty. That's
happy
pretty
for that.
insane. That's pretty.
Also, I'm particularly excited about this. It was able to do this without doing incredibly well in China.
Yeah,
No.
I found that interesting. I read an article about that.
For those of you who don't know, the Chinese market is a huge part of the way movies are made and stuff.
Mhm.
A lot of times you'll have films pandering to the Chinese audience, like
Transformers.
yes, in Transformers: The Last Night. Wait, no, Age of Extinction.
It was Age of Extinction. You're right.
Yeah. They just go to China for the last half of the
reason.
movie,
Yeah.
and you got Stanley Tucci on the roof drinking that weird milk out of the box. Also in Triple X and other movies, they just throw in famous Chinese actors.
All right. Yeah.
Now it seems like, before we get into our main segment, now feels like a good time to talk about how you guys can impact the show.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys want to send us a news story or a topic to talk about, you can do that a couple ways. You can send it to us via Twitter. We are at 7Studio Ave. You can also go to our website, 7studioave.weebly.com. There you can leave a suggestion. You can also be a part of our mailing list, so you can find out more updates about the show, like when a new episode's coming out. And yeah, you guys should go check it out.
Do we have an Instagram yet?
We're still working on that.
All right, we'll work on an Instagram for you guys too.
Stay tuned.
All right.
Bit of Star Wars news. As the Blu-ray release is coming out. No one uses DVDs anymore. We've been seeing more deleted scenes. The one I want to talk about in particular is the Phasma's End scene.
Oh.
Which is probably my favorite of the deleted scenes. Because it actually pays off significant events of like the Phasma comic and book about how she is a survivalist.
Yes, it does.
It basically takes place at the point in Last Jedi where Finn has knocked that scratch in the side of her helmet, and he's like, "You're a traitor. You're bad." And he's like, "Oh, you think I'm a traitor? Well, you were the one that lowered Starkiller's shield." And you see the stormtroopers surrounding them, like getting like a little shaky, like they're questioning themselves, and Phasma just guns them all down in seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then Finn takes off her hand, which is nice to see in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, but she barely reacted, which kind of surprised me. She, right afterwards, gets her staff out and is just ready to go.
Well, the scene wasn't entirely finished, so...
That's true.
Sam, do you want to cover your favorite deleted scene?
Okay. As you know, Tom Hardy, he had a cameo in Star Wars The Last Jedi, but it was cut out and it was released as a deleted scene where basically Finn, Rose, and DJ, they're on the elevator in the Supremacy, Snoke's flagship, and they get on an elevator with a bunch of stormtroopers, and one of the stormtroopers, played by Tom Hardy,
he recognizes Finn. He's like, FN 2187.
Yeah,
you remember me from training?
It's very tense.
Well, I remember. There's a bit of suspense, and then right at the end, Finn's like, he's got his hand on his blaster ready to draw, and at the end, the stormtrooper, Tom Hardy stormtrooper's just like, "I never pegged you for the captain type. Congrats on the promotion." And he gives him a
Max's butt.
A playful pat on the bum. I like that because I was reading a thing. It reveals how the First Order covered up his betrayal so that it wouldn't inspire others.
Yeah,
but I think it also shows a different side to these stormtroopers that we know they're raised to be these killing machines, these mindless killing machines. Yeah, they have a little humanity in them.
Like a football player locker room.
They probably crack open a cold one every now and again.
Yeah. I want to mention that my favorite deleted scene was the one where BB-8 shows Finn the hologram and recording of Rey talking to Finn while he's comatose. And I just thought that was a really nice moment overall. It added some more emotion to the movie that I wish it also had. It was just a really nice moment, very sweet moment. I'm surprised they cut it. It was a very short scene, so I thought they could have easily added it to the movie.
Yeah. Same with all these scenes are like two or so minutes. So if you just add in the 3, that's another like 10 minutes of the movie. We would sit through that. Just cut 5 minutes of whatever that weird mirror cave is with the snapping and the hands. What does it mean?
There was actually another deleted scene. It's not necessarily a deleted scene per se. It's only a few seconds where Kylo Ren, he's first in the throne room with Snoke, and there's a little scene cut out where Snoke, he is walking over to Kylo, and when he takes off his helmet, he wipes away a tear from Kylo's face and says, "You have too much of your you have too much of your father in you." And then the scene continues on.
I disagree. Han Solo never cried.
Yeah, that's the only deleted scene I think I've seen actually.
But I feel like it should have been left in the film because it kind of shows how Ben, he still has like
He's still conflicted.
This conflict
He's just a
within
scared
him.
kid.
Mhm.
A giant, swole, scared kid. Yeah, we'll have an episode devoted to The Last Jedi itself, but this is a good talking point.
Mhm.
So, while we're on the topic of Star Wars, should we talk about Rebels wrapping up?
Definitely
Oh
should.
man.
No. So, for those of you who don't know, Star Wars Rebels was an animated show taking place over the last 4 years. It replaced the Clone Wars, which at the beginning many were fuming
Much
about
to
because
the dismay of fans.
Clone Wars is one of the best and greatest cartoons ever made.
I would
Shows the horrors of war, has great character development, multi-season arcs,
agree. Yes. Good
And
animation.
good animation.
Overall,
So,
it's just a really good.
I remember,
You know,
Sam, I remember talking to you in middle school after the premiere of Star Wars. I was like, hey, what did you think? And you were like, it's not as good as Clone Wars.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, well, it
It
wasn't.
wasn't. I should correct myself. Season 1 was pretty bad.
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
it was
it was pretty.
it was a kid show.
If I'm gonna be totally honest, there were episodes in season 1 that I straight up just skipped out on because
Yeah.
they didn't really add much to
But
the
season
story.
2 in particular is where it started to really build up speed. The season 2 finale, which
That-
we'll talk about a little bit later, is probably
Yeah.
my favorite thing to come out of that show. But so season 4 wrapped up. They did a weird thing where there was a couple episodes, then there was a week or so hiatus,
Mhm.
and then they just gave us the last couple of episodes.
And you know what I wasn't expecting from those last few episodes was how quickly they just killed off Kanan.
Yeah. So
That
they-
hit hard.
Yeah.
the main character, Star Wars Rebels, takes place 3 or 4 years before the events of the original Star Wars movie, A New Hope. So, and that's the one for those of you who don't know. If you don't know, why you listen to the podcast? But anyway, that's the original Star Wars with Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Obi-Wan Kenobi, where they blow up the first Death Star. So the whole point of the show is about this one rebel cell fighting the Empire and how it grows into a gradual rebellion.
Yeah.
And so the main character, one of the main characters,
There are a lot of connections to Rogue One, of course, in that
right?
movie.
Those are that's some of the best stuff of the show. But the main character is one of the main characters is Kanan Jarrus. He is a Jedi who survived Order 66, which is where Darth Sidious was like, "Execute Order 66," and all the stormtroopers like, "Got it," and then they just gunned down all the Jedi. So he's a
That's not
survivor. A major part of the show is his like survivor's guilt that he has to overcome. So yeah,
He takes on an apprentice, which is the main character, Ezra Miller.
Ezra Bridger.
Ezra Bridger, I don't know why I said
Ezra,
that.
Ezra
That is
Miller's
the Flash.
Ezra Miller is an actor. He plays the Flash. But so anyway, yeah, and the show follows their journey, and many Star Wars people have been saying for years, this is great and all, but they have to die at some point. Because in the original trilogy, the Tridge, if you will, Luke Skywalker is searching for, like, tutelage. That's something that's been revealed a lot in the most recent comics. I was just like, that take place between 4 and 5. He's like,
Yeah.
I've got this lightsaber and I don't know how to use it in the Force and stuff. So, there's also Yoda's line in Return of the Jedi that's, when gone I am, last of the Jedi will you be, fades away. But so anyway, so a lot of people have been wondering how are they going to deal with their deaths and stuff. And I think Kanan's death was incredible. Visually and
yes.
Yeah, impressive. Very
the whole
impressive.
episode, you kind of get the sense that it's coming.
That's
'cause
true.
But
He-
when it actually
He does.
happens,
He does a very ceremonial, like he cuts off his ponytail and shaves, and it's very like ceremonial. Like
Mhm.
he has this demeanor that he's on a mission.
And he
and-
knows what he has to do.
Mhm.
He has a purpose, and he's going to achieve
The
it.
plot of the episode is rescuing another character, Hera, who is another leader of the rebel
A
cell,
love
and
interest for Kanan. in
his
fact.
love interest. Their whole relationship throughout the show, or at least we thought, was will they, won't they? They clearly have feelings for each other, but they've never actually like
Acted upon them.
acted upon them. Well, at least we thought, but we'll get into that later. But so anyway, like they've never said "I love you," and the first time they do that is right after Hera's been rescued, and they're standing on top of a giant fuel thing,
Mhm.
and the AT-ATs, the walkers, are coming, and they're like, "We got to get out of here," and the walkers shoot, and it starts to explode, and Kanan is able to hold back this beautifully animated, if I might say,
Very nicely animated.
explosion using the Force, and they have just enough time to escape, and Hera's like, "No, not leaving you," but he pushes them away. But just before he goes, he's been blinded since season 2. He was blind in a duel with Darth Maul, but right before his death, we see Kanan and Hera looking into each other's eyes, and he gets his sight back.
Yes, you see his eyes turn blue from gray to blue. It's a very beautiful moment.
It's a beautiful moment. Very
And
sad.
I remember seeing on the YouTube show Rebels Recon that they mentioned the significance of that is that in this moment, Kanan sees Hera. He truly sees Hera, and I thought that was just a beautiful piece of animation that they put into a kid's show, and it just shows that although something may be labeled in a certain way, it still has a lot of maturity to it, and I appreciate that a lot.
And the next episode, it's really rough. Like, the characters are so shaken. Like, there's this one character, Zeb. He's a big alien guy, and he's kind of like the, I don't want to say Scooby-Doo of the group, but he can be used for comic relief sometimes. And he's just like, hey, how'd the mission go? And he sees they're all, like, crying. He's like, what's wrong? And then he just hugs the one main character, Ezra, because they've had a sort of, like, brother... like older brother, sibling rivalry kind of vibe throughout the show, used for comic relief. But to see them just have that moment of just like a solemn embrace of sadness is really sad.
I have to admit, from the end of the episode Jedi Knight, all the way into that episode, I was tearing up. I could,
yeah.
Seeing
then,
seeing Kanan die, like, go out like that. One, it was amazing, and it was extremely emotional for me.
And poor Ezra, he just feels so lost without his master because he's an orphan. He grew up on the streets of Lothal. And his whole arc has been searching. Like, he lost his family, and he found this new one with Kanan and the crew of the Ghost, which is their ship. And so he's just lost throughout this episode. Hera is just a mess. Like, and she has been sort of the pillar of the entire group, always calm and cool.
The mother of the group.
She's the mom of the group. She's been this pillar of, like, confidence and stuff, and she's just so broken down in this episode. And each character deals with it in their own way. Like, Ezra runs to try and find guidance somewhere. Sabine, the Mandalorian, and Zeb are like, let's get some revenge. And so, which leads to a pretty great moment, although
one of the more sillier moments
Yeah.
of the episode.
Although I feel a lot of people are saying, why would you mess up the tone like that? I think we all needed that moment of levity. So, introducing season 4 is Thrawn's personal assassin, Rook, who's, the best I can describe is like a weird alien chimpanzee. He's got a really creepy, like, chimpanzee run, and he's always smelling.
Typical weird athletic alien. There's not much more you can say about it.
Yeah, voiced by Warwick Davis, but he sounds creepy. They put something over Warwick Davis's voice.
Or should we move to the final episode, maybe?
Well, I want to talk about this because this will lead into the final episode.
Okay.
So, Zeb and Sabine are looking for vengeance. So they see Rook. He's sniffing off in the distance. Zeb's looking through binoculars, and Rook looks back at him through the binoculars like, "Oh, it looked at me. Do you think he saw it? I don't know. I don't want to look again. He's got weird beady eyes." And so that eventually leads to a confrontation where Rook is supposed to be this overpowered, like, he's got a laser, like, electric bow staff sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's easily beating Zeb and Sabine. He's got a cloaking thing, but they get him with paint.
They outsmart.
Yeah, they outsmart him. And then Zeb just starts beating him.
Yeah,
And-
that was brutal for a kid's show. I have
That
to
was
say.
brutal. But
That's
then,
where the problems
that's
start
where
to
the problem
arise.
starts, because
Yeah.
that's where the kid show part shows through, and Sabine's like, we can't get revenge, not like this. Bear in mind, this is the same group of episodes where, okay, so Kanan has cut through a floor and dropped a stormtrooper several hundred feet to their death.
Yeah.
They have thrown stormtroopers out of a gunship, again falling horribly to their death. But that's okay, they're stormtroopers.
They don't have feelings.
Yeah.
And
They're not real people.
them not taking out Rook
Yeah.
then
See,
caused
okay, so
all the problems that
So-
we saw later in the season.
okay, I get it. You don't want to kill him. That's not your way. But at least capture him. They play a practical joke, essentially. Like, they paint him to look funny, and then they send him back. Just capture him, if nothing else, for at least intel. Because he has been a thorn in the rebellion side. And that leads into the final episode. It's A Fool's Hope.
There was one more before that.
Oh, we
one-
completely
yeah.
forgot about World Between Worlds.
Yeah.
I don't know
World
if we
Between
need. We can
Worlds.
just skip to the end of that episode.
I don't know.
review the
World
whole
Between
thing.
Worlds was pretty
like
big.
It's trippy. So
Yeah,
basically,
I think
it
we should just
introduces.
discuss the aspect of this continuity between all of Star Wars.
So
Would you like to talk about that?
yeah, World Between Worlds sees them return to a Jedi temple, and they interact with a mural of the Mortis gods, the father, the son, and the daughter, as seen in the Clone Wars series. And basically, Ezra opens this weird portal where he goes into this space with walkways.
It's essentially a pocket dimension
Yeah.
that exists void of space and time.
A world
It's
between
like
worlds.
it's like the cosmic force,
Right.
Like a physical amalgamation of
Right.
the cosmic
And we're hearing
force.
voices, like we hear quotes from the prequels and from Rebels. What really made me go, whoa, this is cool, is when we hear Kylo Ren. Because
You can hear
I thought the
Kylo
same.
Ren
as
and
well as
Rey.
and
Jyn Erso.
Maz
I
Kanata,
thought
and
it was interesting to hear Jyn
because
Erso because
this
although
is-
she's not a Force user, she still has a big influence on the Force
This is
and
very
everything
cool.
that happens.
This is taking place before Episode 4, so we're hearing voices from the future in this cosmic force.
and some from the past as well.
And probably the biggest part of this episode was confirmation that Ahsoka lives. We see Ezra see the end of the duel between Ahsoka and Darth Vader, which we'll get into more in a bit. But right at the end, he's able to pull her out of the portal, and it's because now time travel is part of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, it essentially introduced time travel
But-
with many limitations.
Yeah, which I'm
obviously.
fine with. It's not just like, you go to this machine and you push a button. Like, no, there's very specific things that have to happen, and it's not entirely explained.
But then that begs the question also, like, why couldn't Luke visit this world between
Right.
worlds and
But
just
so,
like pull Ben away from Darth Vader when he was about to kill him? But
And Ezra basically has a choice, or so he thinks, to try and go back in time and save Kanan, but Ahsoka talks him out of it like, no, it's the will of the Force, you can't do this, I lost my master, I know how you feel, you gotta let people go. There's a brief attack by Darth Sidious trying to get into this portal, but then they each go back through their respective portals. Ahsoka promises to find him when she gets out, and the episode ends on that. Ezra learns a lesson, which leads into the season finale, which I really enjoyed. It's not the one I was anticipating, but I still enjoyed it. It was nice to see.
the Purgils.
It was nice to see. We'll get into that. It's nice to see Hondo and what's the guy with the horns?
I know who you're talking
The
about.
traitor guy.
Yeah, the
It's this character that's been since season 1 on and off again. Sam's giving it a googs. But so we see all these characters from across the seasons coming back. Bazago. He's this fun alien guy. There's a lot of fun aliens. And so basically their plan is to sneak into the Imperial Dome, which is this big dome, and
Also
they're gonna
a spaceship.
Basically,
Yeah.
they're gonna blow it up.
yeah they're gonna
That's
launch
the
it.
plan. As always,
Yeah.
blow something up.
Yeah, which was kind of weird. Like, the Rebels don't have many victories, but the ones they do, it's always blowing up a massive structure.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of like. What about the janitors?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot
There
of
are a lot
you have
of people
to
in that.
you have to
there could have been
remember.
citizens being
But-
held
But probably,
in that base.
but probably one of my favorite parts of the episode was when they get Grand Admiral Thrawn. It's a perfect Thrawn moment, in my opinion. They get him on the radar, and Ezra's like, "We've got all your troops trapped in here. We're gonna launch it in the sky and blow it up. You've lost." And Thrawn's just like, "Are you done? Because here's what's actually gonna happen. You've got all my Imperials in there, but that means I can bombard your city from my Star Destroyer without repercussions." And this is where Zeb and Sabine not capturing Rook comes into play, because they try and raise a shield generator, but Rook, that sneaky son of a gun, disables the shield generator. So the massive amount of collateral damage caused to the city of Lothal is basically Zeb and Sabine's fault. So Ezra turns himself in. There's a confrontation with the Emperor, which I thought was cool.
And we get to see the Royal Guards, which was, I thought,
Yeah.
a big surprise. Without their robes and all,
Without
we
their
finally
robes.
get to see why.
What force pipes do.
Why they're called force
Which is
pipes.
kind of weird. I would have almost preferred a fight between Ezra and the guards. Instead, they just use their force pikes to kind of levitate him, and he throws rocks, which...
But then we also kind of get an explanation as to, the scene from The Last Jedi where Rey and Ben, they're fighting the Praetorian Guards, and a lot of people are like, why don't they just force push them? And we see in this Rebels episode, Ezra tries to force push the Royal Guards, and they just stand their ground.
There must be
as if
something
it's
with that
nothing.
armor. Because, I know the Praetorian Guard armor generates, a magnetic field or something, so...
Yeah, so it's
Very cool.
never just as simple as a force push.
At the end of the Season 3 finale, throughout Season 3, there was this creature in the Force known as the Bendu, this sort of wise Force, Leviathan sort of thing. And he's defeated by Grand Admiral Thrawn, and he makes this prophecy to Grand Admiral Thrawn. He says, "I see your defeat, like many arms surrounding you in a cold embrace." So, and after season 3, people are like, what could it mean? What could it possibly mean? And so, in this episode, it pays off with the Purgils. Sam, would you like to describe the Purgils?
So, if you've seen a sperm whale, just honestly,
What
just
the hell?
Space whales.
it's a space whale with tentacles,
Yeah.
and they're capable of hyperspace
Yeah.
travel.
They were introduced in a season 2 episode where Ezra makes a special connection to them, and that paid off. So they grab the Star Destroyer, their tentacles reach through and grab Thrawn, and it's like, many arms surrounding him, cool embrace, that's cool. And so then Ezra's like, he's calling them on the comms like, I gotta stay here with Thrawn, make sure he goes into hyperspace.
Mm-hmm.
And then they both disappear into hyperspace. So that's why Ezra's
Very
not
powerful
pushing.
moment.
And it's not necessarily, they're not dead.
No, the show producer Dave Filoni, who has done a lot with Star Wars, he produced Clone Wars and Rebels, big name in Star Wars. He confirmed they're not dead. So they're...
As well as Captain Pelion as well.
Oh yeah, shout out to So wait, is Captain Pelion alive?
Yeah, he said that he didn't introduce him. The comms cutting wasn't like necessarily them saying, "Oh, he died in the attack." They introduced him so that they have like that foundation that he's there and they can do more with him in the future. So he's not dead.
For those who don't know, Grand Admiral Thrawn and Captain Pelion were characters introduced in the Star Wars Legends novels, Heir to the Empire, and the subsequent trilogies. They were beloved characters. Unfortunately, when Disney purchased Lucasfilm a few years back, one of the most controversial things they did, which I think in the end turned out to be for the best,
Yeah.
they wiped the Legends canon and said, we're making our own canon. So one of the reasons that people like Rebels is because it reintroduced Grand Admiral Thrawn, this beloved fan character.
Mm-hmm.
So they're off somewhere in the unknown regions.
So I think now is the best time to talk about the prologue we essentially get at the end of the episode. This is my favorite part. Not my favorite part, but I found this very satisfying to hear all this news. They discuss many aspects. Basically, we pick up, Sabine Wren is narrating a prologue at the end of the episode, and we pick up after the Battle of Endor.
Epilogue, wouldn't it be?
Or epilogue, sorry,
Yeah.
my bad. Epilogue. We pick up after the Battle of Endor, which occurs in the...
Last Jedi.
In
Return of the
Return
Jedi.
of the Jedi.
The 6th film where they blow up the second Death Star.
Yep.
Yes. And we learn a lot of things. A fun fact that I thought was very interesting that fans have been speculating for a long time.
Is it about Rex?
That Captain Rex
Captain
was part
Rex.
of the Battle of
So,
Endor.
Captain Rex was a character introduced in Star Wars The Clone Wars. Clone Trooper. He was brought back for Rebels in Season 2, and he's old and grizzled and he has a beard. People pointed out that in Return of the Jedi, there's a character, you can see him next to Han Solo.
He's an extra, essentially.
He's an extra, he's just a rebel trooper, but he's got a grizzled white beard. And people have been saying, oh, could that be Captain Rex?
There's also a scene with him where he's in Scout Trooper armor and he's captured, and people were pointing out how similar he looks to Rex in the series with the Stormtrooper armor.
So that was a nice bit of fan speculation that turned out to be true. Or at the very least, we made it true.
Yeah.
But so, it's also revealed that Kanan and Hera have a son.
How did that happen?
No idea.
When did that happen?
Jason Syndulla. Obvious Easter egg to Jason
Solo.
Solo, who in Legends is the counterpart of Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Evil son of Han Solo that turns evil. But yeah, I like the series finale. I think it wrapped up pretty good.
I think it did as well. Should we talk about our favorite scenes in Rebels as a whole now?
Yes, I think most of those favorite scenes come from
Twilight of the Apprentice.
the season 2 finale, Twilight of the Apprentice, which is where Kanan, Ezra, and Ahsoka venture to Malachor, an ancient Sith world, to try and find knowledge. But what they find is something else. Basically, they encounter Inquisitors, and then Darth Maul returns, which was great.
That Darth Maul is a fan favorite who, as most Star Wars fans know, was not appropriately used in the first movie, The Phantom Menace. And it was nice to see. He had returned in the Clone Wars earlier, and it was very nice to see him later on in Rebels.
For those for you more casual fans, he's the guy with the two. He's got red. He's a red-faced man with horns. He's got a double-bladed lightsaber. And yeah, fan favorite. So we saw his return, and he tricks Ezra into becoming his apprentice, which is pretty nice to see. It's really fun to see how he manipulates him, and very interesting. But probably my favorite part of the episode. Well, do you want to say? I know what your favorite part is.
Oh yeah. So the villains that were throughout season 1 and 2 were the Inquisitors, and there were many of them. The fifth brother, right? The
fifth brother, seventh sister,
seventh sister,
eighth brother, I think,
and the eighth brother who was introduced in the Twilight of the Apprentice episode. And I disliked every single one of them, and in particular the seventh sister.
I think they should have made the seventh sister Barriss Offrey
from
the Clone Wars.
Because she's the same species.
Right.
As well.
Missed opportunity. But anyway, their main gimmick was a double-bladed lightsaber, but it's the size of a regular one, and it spins. So it has like a ring around, and it spins. And it was.
I saw that in Walmart.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah.
Well, there's why they made it. Toys.
For toys, yeah.
It's a ridiculous gimmick, but they somehow find an even more ridiculous use for it in this episode.
Oh man, there's a scene in particular where the Inquisitors are fighting Ahsoka, Maul, Kanan, and
Ezra,
and they're overwhelmed. So to retreat, they spin up their spinny bladed lightsabers and hold them above their heads and fly away like they're helicopters.
It's like Mary Poppins if he were a helicopter.
If you thought the scene with Leia in The Last Jedi was ridiculous, then if you haven't seen this scene, it's...
That's also the episode where Kanan is blinded by Darth Maul, which has major ramifications. And also, just that shot of Darth Vader descending, riding his TIE fighter. He's not in his TIE fighter, he's standing on top of it with his cape bellowing in the wind. Probably for dramatic effect. Vader's all about that.
Yes, that season 2 finale was definitely a turning point for the series. It's right in the middle, considering there's 4 seasons. And I feel like afterward, for a while, people were complaining about Rebels, complaining it's a Clone Wars. But after that, it really created its own identity and became a really great show. My favorite scene actually was not from that episode. I would say my favorite episode overall was the episode where Sabine Wren is able to... She almost grows up, she matures, she assumes she realizes her duty to her home world. And she's trained by Ezra and Kanan.
With the Darksaber?
Yes. I thought that was very cool. I've always thought the Darksaber is a very interesting thing that they introduced in Clone Wars. As well as, in the beginning of the episode, they introduce... actually in the episode before as well, they introduce a struggle with her internally. And then they also introduce these devices that her race uses to fight, and
the Mandalorian gauntlets.
Yes, Mandalorian gauntlets, and then what was the whip thing they used?
It's got like an electric whip.
Yeah, so
it's got like a sonic cannon.
Specifically made for
combating
Jedi. Yeah,
that's the episode that also made the Jedi Mandalorian Wars.
Yes, so that was very interesting. And then I'd really like to see at the end that she was able to use all those things in a specific way to go toe to toe with Ezra, and that was very interesting for me to see. And they really kind of wrapped it up nicely. And the main thing for me that I loved about that episode was the music, because I'm a huge fan of music. I'm in my school band, and since 4th grade, and so I've become a true lover of music. And the music in that episode was very nice, and the music in that episode was very nice, and I appreciated it a lot.
The score was incredible.
And I think that episode actually led to one of the best duels in the series between Sabine and Gar Saxon.
Gar Saxon, yeah. On the ice.
Yeah, on the ice. That was definitely one of the best
Fighting
duels
for
in
the
series.
struggle of Mandalore. Also, really good episodes that deserve recognition. The duel between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Maul.
Yes.
Bit controversial, but I like it. It's over in how many strokes? 3?
About 3 strokes. It's
3 strokes.
It's a callback to Qui-Gon and Maul's
He
duel
tries to
in the
use
Phantom
the same
Menace.
move on Obi-Wan that he killed Qui-Gon with so many years ago, but it doesn't go well for Maul. And it's the end of these characters that have grown. It's a rivalry, but it's really nice to see.
It was interesting to see that the producers, they decided to research samurai duels.
Right.
And they imitated that
Kendo has always been like a major part of the Star Wars choreography.
All right. I think, do we want to end Star Wars Rebels there?
Yeah, let's end Star Wars Rebels there. Oh wait, also, last Clone Wars, like the last Battle of the Clone Wars, that was another great episode. Because it saw the return of the droid Khaleesi from the Clone Wars, and Captain Rex gets some closure, and
Kalani.
That's Game of Thrones. Sorry.
Yes, right.
But so anyway, yeah, Star Wars Rebels. Overall, great show. I'm glad we had it.
We're sad to see it go.
Sad to see it go.
But
we're
happy
excited
for
the future.
Yeah, for the next animated series. Okay, I think I want to make a quick, before we get to our last topic, I want to make a quick reference towards some video game news. Fortnite, it's the biggest game right now.
Yeah,
everyone's playing it.
It
something to say, Joey?
Yeah, it got streamer Ninja,
The number one
hit
streamer.
number one streamer in the world right now, 3 million subscribers, which is
Insane.
absolutely insane. Epic Games is releasing its iOS version. It's got invites, and it's going to expand for the people that don't have consoles or PC. It's going to expand the fan base a lot more.
Not to mention it also has crossplay, so cross progression and crossplay, so console players can play with people on the phone, which it might be seen as a little
unfair.
Yeah, unfair.
Yeah. But to mention, now that you're saying that, we did get an announcement recently that in the next few weeks they will be announcing a competitive mode in Fortnite. So that will probably not have crossplay, I hope.
Yeah.
That would be very bad if it did.
Yeah, casual players would find it a lot less fun if they go against people like Ninja or
Myth or anyone, or Shroud, some of the top streamers. I just want to mention that they recently added C4 to the game as well, and that Ninja, to I think everyone's surprise, played a squads match live with Drake, Juju Smith, a member of the Steelers, and Travis Scott, another rapper. And it was one of the first times I've personally seen celebrities playing video games with a Twitch streamer, which I found very interesting, and it's gone viral.
Yeah, I think Ninja's at this point where he can be making as much money as these rappers and these famous people.
Playing video games.
Yeah. So kids, if your parents tell you you'll never get anywhere playing video games, just look up Ninja. He makes tons of money. So yeah, Fortnite.
Video game is officially a successful career.
Yeah, it's still
it's up there with YouTubing as a new career of it's emerged.
Yeah. Fortnite surpassed Minecraft 2 days ago. For most popular game, it's insane.
It's hard to believe.
When
honestly.
will this hype end? Is the question. I've had a discussion with a few of the people at the table here. I personally predict not until the fall of this year, and they completely disagree with me.
Honestly, I think that it's gonna fall off soon. Give it a month. Epic, they'll add the wrong thing, the wrong microtransaction, and the whole gaming community will turn against them. That's how it always is.
Yeah, like a lot of stuff with Star Wars Battlefront, the microtransactions said to kill the game. So
that's why I
Destiny. Yeah. So
I just also want to mention that in June during E3 there will be a Fortnite event where they'll have 50 pro players, which means streamers, YouTubers, and other players that exist on pro teams, and then 50 celebrities playing together in a squads match, which will be a very fun event to watch live. Okay, I think that's all we have, and then we'll be getting to our final topic now.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest bit of news?
The Marvel Infinity War trailer came out yesterday.
The official trailer.
Mm-hmm, the official one.
There's a lot to talk about here.
Yeah.
Now, this was a really good trailer. Now, it
nice
opens with some narration from Gamora, which highlights Thanos' motives, which I also want to talk about because they're different from the comics. In the comics, Thanos' whole spiel is that he's in love with this personification of death.
Yeah.
And his whole goal is to destroy everything to be one with death. Slightly changed for the movie. His goal is to just destroy half the universe. very
Okay.
specifically
Balance
has.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This trailer sort of gives credence to the line in the first trailer, which is where he's like, "Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe," because he is trying to balance it.
Yeah.
It's I found it somewhat humorous that he was like, "When I'm done, half of humanity will still remain." Like, that's a very specific. You're being very specific here, Thanos. So Kevin Feige stated that his motive was because his homeworld of Titan was devastated by an event he thought he could stop but wasn't allowed to, and so his race is essentially extinct.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fan theory that the event was that Celestial destroying it with an Infinity Stone that we saw in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, when the Collector is giving his exposition about the Infinity Stone. He's like, "These stones could only be wielded by beings of extraordinary power." And we see a Celestial destroy a planet with them. People are speculating that, could that be Titan? I don't know, but I think it's interesting. So it's interesting to see that they've changed his motives. He's still a massive threat, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some really, really big screenshots and scenes from the trailer that people have been breaking down, such as Captain America fending off. I don't know if he's actually fending off against Thanos, but he's fending off against Thanos.
Like,
Yeah.
he's holding
the.
Yeah.
It looks like Thanos is trying, because it's not a punch.
Yeah.
It looks like
Like a
Thanos is
grab,
almost like
yeah.
trying to grab him,
Mhm.
and Captain America's holding back. Now, there's two ideas I have about this. One, Thanos is toying with him, like he's being
That's
like,
true.
"Look how weak you are, human." And people have said that'd be a great spot for Captain
The
America's
famous line from the original comic.
in
Yeah.
the original comics.
he just slaps him.
He
and
he slaps and shatters Captain America's indestructible shield.
Mm-hmm.
And Captain America's all like, "You'll never win, Thanos. So long as one man stands against you, you can never claim victory." And Thanos is just like, "Noble sentiments from a man who's about to die." And so,
I think everyone is hoping that they include that line some way in this
hopefully,
movie.
and this would be a great place for it, if Thanos is kind of toying with it. Thanos' expression could also be interpreted as struggling, which I don't really understand. Like,
Yeah, because
Captain
Thanos
America's-
is basically a god at this
I
point.
mean, Captain America, he's pretty strong.
He's really
though.
strong,
Yeah.
but I don't think he's as strong as Thor.
That's
Is that
true.
reasonable? Like, as far as like
No,
raw
he's definitely not as strong
lifting
as Thor.
strength,
Yeah.
and
But
Thor's
at the
Thor's
same
a
time, he
demigod.
is the only one in Age of Ultron that was able to
go toe to toe with Ultron.
and move Mjolnir.
Yeah.
So,
But Mjolnir's not here anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So, the last thing about this scene that we should probably talk about, it's very controversial online, is the fact that his eyes seem to have a yellow hue to them.
I
now,
think-
many people say it's lighting.
I think it could be light.
Some
light
people
edge.
say it's related to the. I think it's lighting as well. But some people do say that
It's
it's
related to
It's
the
the
Soul
Infinity
Stone.
Stone.
The Soul
Yeah,
Stone
the
that
Soul
is
We
Stone.
yet to be
don't. We know where all
announced.
the other Infinity Stones are, except for the Soul Stone. So it could be anywhere. It could be with Heimdall. It could be in Wakanda, even though it's probably not. But we'll get to that.
Could be in Thor.
I think it's
which
something
is,
that we can't really
Right.
predict unless. Because it
But
could,
so-
yeah, exactly. Like you said, it could be anywhere, so they're
So-
going to make it a twist.
I don't think Captain America is as strong as Thor. And earlier in the trailer, we see Thanos. He's got Thor in his hand like a handsome egg, and he's about to crack it. And I think that's where the shot from the first trailer, where Loki like hands over the Tesseract. I think Loki's gonna die in this one
I think so, too.
All right.
because at one point we see him with the Black Order, and people are like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Loki's joined the Black Order."
No, I think
No.
they're going to kill him.
Proxima Midnight has a spear to his head.
There's no reason for them to keep Loki
Right,
alive
because
at this point.
Loki failed
Yeah.
in First Avengers. He failed, and he lost the scepter, which had the Mind Stone. While we're talking about the Black Order, we should probably cover Ebony Maw, which is he's that creepy guy we see torturing
yeah, what's
torturing
that about?
torturing
Doctor
Doctor
Strange.
Strange with like
Yeah.
weird crystal things, and he goes like, it's really creepy. It's unpleasant. That should be interesting.
Also, something to talk about is Thor. It looks like we can see Thor almost summoning
Yeah,
his new
I
weapon.
think
New-
what
yeah.
that is they've edited it out because we
Mhm.
see him summon lightning. But if you look at his hand, I don't have a screen grab of that, but his wrist is tilted,
Yeah.
like he's holding. It's not like up as if he's like
I mean, the merchandise is already like
Right.
revealed what
Stormbreaker.
Yeah, Stormbreaker.
It's an
Essentially
axe,
an axe.
hybrid.
Yeah,
with-
it looks like it has
it's got an axe
wood.
on one end and a hammer on the other.
Yeah, and it's all tied together with what looks like wood.
For
And
possibly
what a lot of
Groot.
people are
Probably, yeah.
speculating is that it's actually made out of, the handle is made out of wood from Groot.
Yeah,
Yes.
from Groot. Yeah.
So that should be interesting to see.
It was nice to see Iron Man's new suit. Almost
Ooh,
looks
the nanotech.
alien-like.
Yeah.
We see him with the boosters. Like we see him assemble like a giant booster, so it shows it's adaptable.
That was interesting to see. We see Spider-Man in his new
I really like
armor.
that.
I
really like the
this
interact.
really
It's,
nice.
it's at the end of the trailer, and he's like, "Oh, I'm Peter, by the way. Doctor Strange. Oh, made up names. I'm Spider-Man."
Yeah,
And
that
then
was
we
an
see him
alright
swinging
joke.
about. I'm pretty sure what he's swinging through, all that debris and meteors, is the moon, because there was a still release
Yeah.
of like Thanos grabbing onto a moon with the Infinity Gauntlet.
What's your
and
thought on that setting it they're in being Thanos' homeworld?
It could be interesting. I don't think all the Avengers are going to be there, so I think
Not
it's a good
all of them are going to be
it's a
there.
good
Some will
way
be on
to-
Earth.
Some will be in Wakanda.
It
which we
looks
talked
like
about.
some members from the Guardian of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Iron Man will be the ones.
It was long speculated that the Soul Stone, the last of the missing Infinity Stones, was on Wakanda, and that's why they're defending it there. However,
Could
it
be,
was,
or the fact that Wakanda is probably just the safest place.
yeah. Well, that's Kevin Feige said that's why they're there, because
Yeah.
we see Vision lying down on a table, and Shuri has a hologram of his head, and so Kevin Feige said that the reason they're, or it's either Kevin Feige or the Russo brothers, but they said the reason they're there is because Captain America takes him there because it's the safest place on Earth to protect the Mind Stone, which is in Vision's forehead. So, still have no idea where the Soul Stone is. So, it's been revealed that the Battle of Wakanda will probably be the third act. And what I think is interesting is, again, they could just be CGIing them out for the trailer, which Marvel's known to do. The Infinity Gauntlet, back to the shot of Thanos kind of grappling with Cap, it's only got the Power Stone and the Mind Stone and the Space Stone. It's only got 2 out of the 6.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is presumably taking place in like the third act towards the end of the film, how many Infinity Stones are they actually going to have?
Well, the
But
movie is
aren't
long,
we
so
aren't we forgetting as well that this is a two-parter?
Well,
yeah, it's a two-parter.
Originally it was. I think it's still, narratively it still is, but it was originally called Avengers Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah.
They ditched that because I think the reason was they looked at how successful series like Twilight and Divergent and Hunger Games were when they split their movies. Like, Part
Yeah.
1 and Part 2 can be risky with audiences.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Untitled Avengers 4 will most certainly deal with these sort of things.
We also have movies that are coming out, like the new Spider-Man movie,
Right.
maybe a second Doctor
So,
Strange.
Who do you think's going to
Bite the dust.
bite the dust in Infinity War?
Iron Man.
Definitely Iron Man.
Yeah, I think Iron
I
Man.
think there's a
Vision.
fair chance that Iron Man or either Iron Man or Captain America could live into Avengers 4.
I think they're
Yeah.
heavily foreshadowing
yeah.
Iron
Well, they
Man's
die.
death. I mean,
They could still come back.
with
Right.
Thanos' line
But
before it shows
I hope
Iron
they
Man.
remember you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of
Like-
people say that they think Iron Man's definitely surviving. I disagree.
I
with
disagree with
completely.
that.
Yeah.
I think Iron Man's gonna go.
Mhm.
I think it is a safe bet to say that Loki's going to die.
Vision, I think might go. I don't
Definitely.
Vision might go.
All right.
Who else? What
I
else?
think that's about everyone. I mean, obviously,
Oh.
everyone's up for grabs pretty much.
Missing Avengers. Ant-Man
Ant-Man.
and
Right.
Hawkeye are notably absent. It's become
Well,
a bit of a
Hawkeye, we kind of know he
It was revealed in a prelude
He
comic
retired.
that he retired.
yeah.
Mhm.
Also,
So-
to all you Game of Thrones fans out there, we can see on the poster that Peter Dinklage is listed as a actor in the movie, so
Right.
that will be interesting.
No idea who he's playing. I know.
He might play weird glass man next
Could be
door
voice
Doctor
acting,
Strange.
for all
We
we
never
know.
know.
Yeah. He could be one of the voices. Never
Yeah.
know.
All right, I think
I think that'll
that'll wrap up this session.
wrap about episode 1. So, just one more time.
Avengers Infinity War does come out April 27th, so
Make sure
go
to get
see it
your
in theaters.
tickets.
Go get your tickets. Pre-order them.
Yeah, I just reading earlier. It broke Black Panther's record of pre-sales. Like
Really?
Yeah, that's,
within 6 hours, it's already broken a record of pre-sales.
Wow.
Mhm.
All right.
Once again, you can find us at 7 Studio Ave on Twitter, over at 7studioave.weebly.com, where you can be a part of our mailing list. Go sign up. So, thank you for listening. This has been 7 Studio Ave. Bye, guys.
See you later, guys.